All right, all right. Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Patterson Report. As always, I'm your host, Philly Brandon, and Ryan is not joining us tonight. He is up in Williamsport for the beginning of the Little League World Series, since he lives up in the area. So that gives me an excuse to spend a half hour talking hoops with my man, Spen Harris, a.k.a. the one, the only Spenny Sandwiches, Spenny Sandos, whatever you want to call them. The new namesake for the newest sandwich in the a Family Affair deli lineup. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, that's correct. And hello, everyone. Thanks for having me back on, Philly Brandon. Big day for me. I mean, some people wait their entire lives for a sandwich to be named after them.
Yeah.
I only had to wait, a mere 31 years, but the Spen Harris, it's the 31st sandwich officially at a Family Affair in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. It features mortadella, chicken cutlet, mozzarella, arugula, and hot pepper spread.
Don't forget the balsamic. The balsamic ties the room together.
I forgot the balsamic on a brick oven semolina bread.
Oh, so it's like a hard roll.
Oh yeah,
that's right where you lost me.
Well, no, time out. It's not like it's the perfect firm. Their bread is very good. If you have like real fresh semolina, it's the best bread for a sandwich. Trust me.
Yeah, it's not debating you there. Do you ever go to I've never been to a Family Affair deli, so this isn't a reflection on their quality, but you ever go to your local pizza shop or whatever, and God forbid you get a meatball parm or a chicken cutlet sandwich, something like that, and they throw it in the pizza oven before they give it to you, and you're pretty much left wearing your sandwich? That's my beef.
I totally get that. I actually don't mind those sandwiches as well. It's just a totally different sandwich. Yeah, that's a pizza shop sandwich, right? This is a legitimate Italian deli sandwich. They're not throwing the whole sandwich in the oven or the bread in the oven. They're not doing that.
Okay, so it's just when you're saying it's an oven baked semolina that, they're doing it in house. You're not saying you order the sandwich then it's going in the oven. That clears a lot.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay, we're back on the same page. I will have to try it ASAP. And what we're getting into today is the U.S. men's team just went to another country that serves food, France, but I wouldn't say it is remotely close to the food scene up there in North Jersey. Everything in France sucks, except for escargot, kind of slaps every now and again.
Don't tell Robert Griffin III that, because he ate that one croissant. Now he doesn't have a job.
Dude, that's crazy. I mean, I actually liked RG3. I thought he was entertaining. I don't think he deserved to get fired.
The croissant was just far too large for him to eat and take a picture of.
I mean, look, we'll get into the basketball team in a second, but the form on that croissant, his wife was eating it too, and it was rough, but it wasn't as bad. Dude, he went eyes closed, the second hand underneath, full it was a really tough look.
Yeah, I've actually seen that same video on RedTube a few times. So,
dude, do you know how many remakes of that there's going to be now? I mean, they're probably in the works as we speak. I'm sure he's gotten hit up by a couple of filmmakers. We'll put it that way.
He should actually turn that picture into a Subway commercial, like in Happy Gilmore #1, where he eats a cold cut combo. Yeah. Shout out to Happy Gilmore. They're filming #2 in New Jersey. I actually might be going to audition as an extra. We'll see.
Did you reply to that casting call? I saw it as well.
I did. They could use a guy in Jersey who has a sandwich named after him. So
that's true. I mean, hey, if nothing else, maybe get the catering contract. Anywho, we're a little bit late to the game. Ryan doesn't follow basketball quite as much, so we didn't do it on last week's episode. But 2024 men's Olympic basketball. I'm interested to hear. We'll get into the ins and outs of it, but overall, there's been a lot of commentary on this team was supposed to be dream team-esque. They were kind of a letdown in that regard. There was too many close games. I've heard some people go as far as to say the gold medal doesn't mean as much because you almost lost twice to get it. Where do you kind of land on how important this particular gold medal was?
So there's an old saying, Philly Brandon, and you might be too young to know it, but the saying goes, comparison is the thief of joy.
I've heard it. I don't know where it's from, but I've heard it.
It's ridiculous that we have to put up. First of all, like you said, they almost lost. What do you call almost losing?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I agree with that take, but like they look at the game. Look at the game against Serbia.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have a Serbia team that was kind of dog walking you for a while, and then you remembered who you were and you come back and beat them. Then you go to France, and you never were able to really put them away. I don't look at it that way, but that's kind of the narrative that you're hearing a lot. I mean, from hot take artists like Skip Bayless types, Nick Wright types, people like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, forget about the hot take artists. I look at the people who just hate the USA team for the personalities, right? Like you still have your LeBron haters, your Steph Curry haters, there are people who clowned on Jason Tatum for everything that happened there. I think a lot of people saw USA not dominating as a sign of weakness and a sign of softness. And the one thing I have to say about that is like Serbia has the best player in the entire world in Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
And, I know he didn't score. He wasn't like the reason that they were dog walking the US. It was guys like Bogdan Bogdanovic and some other guys hitting threes. But, those dream teams, like the dream team with Magic and Michael and Larry, who the fuck did they have to see that was, pound for pound, the best player in the world? Like, it's just ridiculous to me. Nikola Jokic, Suns, NBA All-Stars. And, France in the finals, I mean, I know it was a close game, but you were never losing that game. And to everyone who's like, oh, like they almost lost to Evan Fournier. Like, can we not sit here and pretend that Victor Wembanyama isn't going to be the best player in 3 or 4 years? Like, the competition internationally is so much better than it used to be. Yes, these countries have caught up to the U.S., but to answer your question, to bring everything together, like, take each team for what it was. This team was so good that Jason Tatum couldn't find minutes on it. That's how I view this team. From a talent aspect, they were one of the most talented teams to ever be assembled to be in the Olympics.
Yeah, and to your point, I was reading a stat. It was right before the gold medal game. It might have been Brian Windhorst who came out with it. But to your point about, the talent disparity, that dream team that's kind of the gold standard of Olympic teams, they faced 6 NBA players en route to a gold. This current team had to face, I believe it was upwards of 40 NBA players. That's 4 rosters of NBA players. Now, look, I realize the math on that doesn't make sense. When you look at that Olympic pool that existed in 2024, that's how many NBA guys outside of the U.S. roster were in this pool. So it's completely different. It's like I said, it's apples and oranges. And beyond just the star power of, Victor Wembanyama, I'm not going to call Rudy Gobert a star, but as far as foreign NBA talent goes, he's one of the better foreign NBA guys. And then you look at guys like Nico Batum, who have been doing this international play thing forever. Same thing with Serbia. I mean, some guys' games just lend better to the international game. In France, Yabusele. I mean,
he was a monster.
Yeah, but remember, he came in the NBA in a real short stint, then went back and play overseas. He's probably going to come back now. So you can't look at it like an NBA game because the game's so different. Guys who didn't excel in the NBA excel on these national teams. And I was just watching the Redeem Team doc a couple days ago. They have national teams. Like Nico Batum's been playing for the French national team for what? I think it's like his 5th Olympics or 4th Olympics, something crazy like that. I mean, they keep these teams together, and then we trot out our best with 5 weeks of lead time. I mean, that matters. That has to matter somehow. So I was impressed. I thought, it was a great showing by the U.S. I thought we needed this. We needed to see guys like LeBron, like KD, like, Joel, who's new. We're trying to think about Anthony Edwards, who's new. Like, you had to see some of the big dogs start playing in the Olympics again, which I thought was a nice sign. But yeah, go ahead.
No, I agree with everything you're saying. And a lot of these guys had really awesome moments. Like, obviously, it was highlighted by Steph Curry's 4 triples in a row to put down France. that was must-watch television. I haven't watched a flurry like that in ages. LeBron James, still a dominant force. Like, you don't remember that from last year because the Lakers sucked. They got swept in the first round, right? Joel Embiid coming off that series against the Knicks when he was hurt. He had his moments. That's your boy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I mean, they don't win that Serbia game without Joel. I mean, that was a game where they built a roster for the international play. And when you watch an international play, it's chippy, it's physical, it's fast. I love Joel Embiid to pieces. Those are three things he's not. He doesn't do well with contact because he's used to getting calls. He's not overly quick, and he's not overly physical. I mean, he's a big body and he's strong, but he's not comfortable kind of getting into people like that. But you look at that Serbia game, Serbia plays slow. They play through Jokic. They play through their big man. And AD couldn't hang with them. Bam Adebayo couldn't hang. Like, none of these guys could hang. All of a sudden, you put Embiid in, and, on offense, until Curry was cooking, KD couldn't get it going. LeBron couldn't get it going.
But KD had his moments.
He did.
What I'm trying to say is all these guys had moments where it wasn't like a Luka Doncic just taking over, right? Or everyone played a part. Devin Booker was phenomenal for this team. He stepped up when they needed him.
Devin Booker was huge.
You know who else was great? Drew Holiday had a really nice Olympics. Defensively, he's a pest. He's a monster. So that's kind of also what I liked about this team is with all these dominant players, everyone kind of played their role accordingly. And no one, the only guy who kind of would try to ball hog was KD. When KD would get in there, he was always looking for his shot.
He was looking to score. But, I mean, and it depended on the game. Like, again, we'll go back to Serbia. I think it was in the third quarter, he had a little flurry of buckets where, you absolutely needed it because nobody else was hitting. Similarly to Joel, when that French game, I texted 2 or 3 of my Sixers buddies right before the game. Actually, no, it wasn't before the game. 5 minutes in, I was like, this isn't going to be a Joel game because you had, Steph was hitting, LeBron was hitting, Booker looked comfortable. They were going to play fast. This isn't his game. Put AD in. This is his kind of game. Serbia, that was where KD with the one-on-ones made sense. Joel Embiid with the one-on-ones, the spot-ups, the turnarounds made sense. What was cool about this team is if you watch them through the Olympics, they won 4 different ways. They weren't one team throughout the whole thing.
Right. That's an excellent point. And the only other thing I want to say to anyone who hated this Olympics or didn't like watching this team, would you rather watch Team USA beat every team by 40 points?
Yeah.
Is that what you want to see? Because if that happens, then you'll complain that the competition's not great and it's not fun to watch blowouts. So I think we got the best of both worlds, right? Because we got to see the top dudes in the NBA playing together and winning together, and we got to see close, competitive FIBA basketball.
Yeah, it was some of the best basketball I've watched in a very long time. It was, like I said, it was appointment television. Within those big moments and within some of the guys that we mentioned, I'm curious to hear who you thought was, and I'm going to harken it back to 08. The 08 gold medal game, Dwayne Wade had that moment where, Kobe and LeBron are in foul trouble. I think he goes for 30 in that game. And coming into it, he was hurt. He barely made the Olympic team. We didn't really expect that much out of D. Wade. Who was, in your opinion, that guy for this team where they became a much bigger part of the team than we thought they were going to be, let's say, in June?
It's a really good question. I guess it's a tie between Booker and Drew Holiday. Maybe I'd give the edge to Devin Booker a little bit because I just thought that defensively, his role in the NBA with Drew Holiday kind of did the same thing he does for the Celtics, right?
Yeah, right there.
Be a pesky defender, make open threes, occasionally get a bucket. But Devin Booker completely transformed his role in terms of what he was being asked to do on Team USA, and he did it perfully. He's essentially a 3-and-D guy. He was kind of like Dylan Brooks's role in the NBA, but for FIBA. I get the whole Jason Tatum not playing thing. Why can't you find him minutes? I don't think that Jason Tatum could have done Devin Booker's role as well as Booker did.
No, and like you said, the scoring part with Devin Booker you never worry about. I mean, because in the NBA he's looked at maybe unfairly at this point as just a scorer after seeing what we saw in the Olympics. But when it goes back, he was one of the early kind of tone setters when this team came together. it was I remember who somebody tweeted about it. It's going around. I'm sure you've seen it. And it was a tweet saying, like, look, the NBA got the men's national team's got all these superstars. Who's going to be the glue guy? Who's going to do the dirty work? And to his credit, Book quote tweeted, said, "I'll do it." And he did. I mean, he volunteered to do it. He was that guy. He was 12 points a game, 5 assists, 4 boards, couple of steals. But he was kind of whatever you needed him to be. And I thought it was nice that Steve Kerr finally gave him his flowers at the end when he said, he was like, look, he's our unsung MVP because I don't think anybody else could have done that role that well. And I think you're right with Tatum. It sucks that he didn't find the floor, but I thought after watching those Olympics, the only guy I felt comfortable playing him over was Derek White. Everyone else I'd kind of rather have in the game.
I want to go back to the Tatum thing and just like, what were your thoughts when everybody was freaking out about him not getting time? Like, did you think it was worth the discussion, or do you think it was a whole bunch of nothing?
I mean, I thought it was worth discussion. I didn't necessarily agree with how big it got because I think it overshadowed some of the great stuff that was going on. I vehemently disagreed with his mom getting involved. That was weak as hell. But it's worth talking about. I mean, he's probably a top 5 player in the NBA at the moment. And for him to fall out of the rotation to the likes of, I mean, think about that team. Drew Holiday and Derek White, both teammates on the Celtics, jumped him in the order. And that was kind of weird to see. And I do think that Steve Kerr didn't do the best job at managing that roster because he should have never fallen completely out. But, like you and I were just saying, he was destined to be a role player on that team. There was nobody in the starting 5 he should have taken their spot. And on that bench unit, the only person I feel real comfortable saying he was definitely better than in that setting was, Derek White. If you wanted to argue Bam, if you wanted to go small, I would hear it. But if we're being honest, he was probably the 10th best player on that team.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not playing him over KD. KD's still better than Tatum. You're right. Bam and AD, when they were in the lineup together, that was a dangerous lineup. It put a lot of pressure on the rim, and teams had trouble with that. Derek White's playing time pretty much dwindled down the stretch, and it was him and Tatum at the end of the bench. But no, I had no problem with it. I mean, like I said, they won every game. And I don't know if you know this stat, Philly Brandon, but Jason Tatum was 0 of 16 on jump shots throughout the Olympics. He didn't make a single shot. So if he was trying to get into the rotation, anytime that Steve Kerr would put him on the floor before the Serbia and the France game, he wasn't doing nothing.
No, and it's not like the NBA. I mean, I'm as big of a homer as they come. I love Joel Embiid to pieces, but to that same end, I mean, it's not like the NBA where you can feed these guys 15, 20 times in a game and hope they get going. Against France, when, Joel he was slow early and he missed a couple jumpers, I'm the first one to go put AD back in the game because AD was cooking in that gold game. I thought he was sensational. And I mean, look, I'm not, Boston Celtics fans are some of the worst NBA fans there are. If they're honest with themselves, you do have to watch Jason Tatum play and go, I don't know, man. Maybe put Drew back in. Maybe put Bam back in. This ain't working.
Yeah. And the thing I noticed with FIBA is it's not a lot of isolation basketball, right? I think the only guys on Team USA that had the green light to do that, it was LeBron James, it was Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry. And outside of those 3 guys, no one really was given Embiid occasionally, but that was more.
Yeah, that was out of desperation, dude. No one else was scoring.
Yeah, that was different. But no, I don't know. I thought it was overblown. They won every game. They didn't need Tatum. I don't know. Yeah.
So 2024 being pretty, amply covered at this point. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on 2028. Now, I have the 2028 roster, but I think it goes a little bit deeper than that. First and foremost, who do you think coaches the 2018? Because it's been rumored that Steve Kerr is going to bow out on his own accord.
Mike Malone. I think the Nuggets are going to win at least one more championship in the next 4 years. And I would think that Michael Malone would be the coach of Team USA.
Okay, that's an interesting call because he has almost no international experience. I think it's almost guaranteed to be Spo.
Oh,
he's on the bench now. He's got the co-sign from guys like LeBron, D Wade, Bosh. Now from this team, you got I think it's almost guaranteed to be Spo.
I'm sticking with my pick, Brandon.
Okay, we'll see if it changes. And then roster turnover is going to be notable. I mean, you got to figure LeBron is almost certainly not back. Steph has pretty much said he's not back. I can't imagine KD running it back, but I mean, probably not KD either. I mean, I love Joel Embiid to pieces, but what's he going to look like in 4 years? I don't expect him to be a superstar 4 years from now, and I'm a Sixer fan. So what do you think this roster looks like in 2028?
Your boy Tyrese Maxey can be an option.
Yeah, I think he's a strong pick.
I would assume they asked Jaylen Brown to right the wrong that they committed this year.
That's if he decides to play. I wouldn't blame him if he said fuck him.
I hate that I'm saying this, but Jalen Brunson probably.
Yeah, I could see that. And then, for returners, you got to figure Book will be back in a bigger role. And Edwards is going to be back.
Oh, yeah. He was – oh, we didn't even mention him. He had his moments. I totally forgot about Ant Edwards.
Yeah, he'll be back. He'll be one of the leaders of that 2018 because he'll be kind of like, LeBron, Melo, and Dwayne Wade were in 08. They're coming off of 04. And they were kind of like the changing of the guard in 08. I mean, Kobe was still there, don't get me wrong. But I think those two are going to be huge. Like, they're going to kind of lead the charge in 28. Which are the big men? Do you think we see a whole new front court?
I mean, who else is there? Like, who?
You'd have an older AD. Bam. I don't think Joel's back. I could be wrong, but I just don't see it. And then a lot of our
my question is
are foreign.
Yeah, like you're right. Like Jokic, Wembanyama, those guys are foreign.
Zion, if you want to push it,
Zion, Cat isn't like I wouldn't want him on an Olympic
not
team.
Really.
He's not built for the Olympics. Yeah, I don't know. I guess Bam will be back, right?
Yeah, I think he's young enough. Bam will be back.
Yo, what about this guy? What about Ja Morant? If he can figure it out and stay healthy for 4 years and not get suspended.
I think if he returns to the form, then I think he's a shoo-in. But then again, you're building a super guard-heavy roster, which is kind of why I wanted to bring up the big men. Like, I mean, you look around the NBA, the big men are almost exclusively foreign. We have guards galore. Guards not a problem. Wing won't really be a problem. I just don't know where you turn in the middle outside of Bam. I'm sitting here trying to think of, homegrown centers, and
there's nobody.
struggling.
You think of Houston, right? Like Şengün.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, he's God, it doesn't Orlando. Yeah, well, Orlando I think has. Oh, Chet Holmgren. We're both spacing.
Yeah, but again, is he like he's a stretch? He's a stretch 4. He's not a big man.
Well, we're running out of options here.
But wait, who did you say before him? Because you said someone interesting. What team were you talking about?
Orlando.
Okay, Orlando. Banchero is a name.
He's a shit.
I read something like he's the next guy, and then another guy that would be interesting is Scotty Barnes.
Yeah, I can see where both. I mean, well, Banchero was considered for this year's team, so I think he's a shoo-in for 28. Scotty Barnes would be fun. I think he would be, he's not a big man, but I think he does give you some of that toughness inside. I'm just thinking of like, dude, if we have a big man roster of Bam at 6'9" and Barnes, who's I think 6'7".
Yeah.
I mean, Jokic is going to have a field day. Wembanyama is going to have his nuts all on their face for 2 hours on national television across the world. I mean, that's not a great place for the U.S. to be.
Yo, I got a name for you.
All right.
My boy Nick Claxton.
look, I don't hate it, but just think. Look, this year we have Joel Embiid and AD. Think of the fall to get to Nick Claxton. What about Jared Allen?
No, Nick Claxton's better than Jared Allen. What about Triple J?
Okay. Well,
because he was on that team, the World or whatever what was the team with like Mikal Bridges and Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart and all them? Whatever that team was.
That was the FIBA team.
Yeah, Jaren Jackson Jr. was on that team.
Yeah, so he's had a little experience with the FIBA game. I could be talked into that. But I think we're making our point with the conversation of just, we're sitting here racking our brains trying to think of fringe Olympic guys coming off of an Olympics with, last year's MVP, one of the most prolific shot blockers basketball's ever seen in AD, and a guy in Bam Adebayo. He played really hard. I'll give him that.
B-ball Paul.
Fucking dude. The way things go, the way everybody leaves Philadelphia and automatically turns into an all-star, I would love nothing more than to see B-ball Paul repping America. Even if he's not on the roster, just send him. Just give him a plane ticket.
I'm trying to think it would be really hilarious and random now for them to just send over there.
God, if you want to, I'm trying to think who would be like just an awful send.
DeAndre Ayton.
That'd be so funny. That would be so funny.
That'd be pretty good.
I can honestly not tell you something DeAndre Ayton does well.
He nicknamed himself the Dominatron.
That's eerily close to Dominatrix, dude. That's too close.
Yeah, but like something about Dominatron, or I don't know, something. I forget what his nickname was, but
it's probably Dominating.
Something. Yeah, maybe he was into Dominatrix and I just misheard him. I don't know.
Miles Turner, maybe?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I don't know how we missed him.
Yeah.
He's very good. It was funny.
I don't know how DeAndre Ayton got me there either, but it did.
Oh, dude, we forgot about another guy who rode the pine was Halliburton.
Yeah, he'll be back.
Yeah, he's nice.
Yeah.
Yo, who would you rather for the next 4 years? And I want to get back to who you said before, Halliburton or John Morant?
For the next 4 years, Ja. I think. Ja. Yeah,
me too. I think me too.
I like Halliburton a lot, but he was
he's never going to be top 3.
Dude, honestly, Tyrese Halliburton had a great first half of the season. He was kind of ass for the second half.
He fell off a little bit. Then he came alive in that Knicks series, for a few games, but not really. There was a clip of all Halliburton's prettiest dimes, and they were all to Miles Turner. Apparently Miles Turner is just great to play with because he rolls to the rim, he rolls hard, and he can hit the 3. He kind of does everything AD does. Just he's not a world champion. He's not a million-time All-Star, but he doesn't really have a mid-range game, but he's still a really good player, Miles Turner.
Yeah, and AD didn't really use his midi at all in the Olympics. He wasn't really looked at as a scorer, but God, was he was a problem on the glass. I got to give him credit there. Trying to think if we're missing anybody else obvious who should be included next time around. And some of these guys might not be in the league yet. There's a chance that Cooper Flag is there in 4 years. I don't think that's as much of a guarantee as social media likes to think it is. But
I got a name for you.
All right.
What about LaMelo Ball?
No.
You don't think so? You don't think he's going to?
I just don't think he can stay healthy. I think, unfortunately for him, I think he's got weak ankles. Every year it's his ankle.
What about Trae Young?
God, I hate him so much. But you saw how a guy with Steph Curry's type of game, before everybody comes at me, they're not the same guy, how somebody with that type of game can be a weapon in the Olympics. So I wouldn't be necessarily against it.
I don't think Kyrie Irving gets a call.
Which is a shame. Well, at that point, he'll be 38?
Yeah, I don't think it's much of a shame. I don't think he gets a call. That's okay, though.
I think Kyrie in his prime. If we backed it up 4 years and Kyrie was going to be mid-30s next Olympics, I think he would be great in that style of basketball. He sees the floor really, really well. And you watch these teams that compete with us, it's all about ball movement.
True. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe we should have given him a call.
No, we'll leave that up to Grant Hill. It's just a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. So I have slightly more respect for for him than I did earlier today. But thanks for sticking through the technical issues. I haven't seen you in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I turned my camera on and off, but something's up with my video. But that's okay.
It's all good.
A lot of people that had to listen to the Olympics on the radio.
That's true.
Just like that.
And we still hit our full 30, so we didn't shortchange the people. But for I'm trying to think of how to end this. Oh, what better way to end it? Spen, where do we get your sandwich? Some people might be listening in New Jersey, so it's at a Family Affair deli. Is this a permanent sandwich, or do people have to rush over there right away?
No, this sandwich is permanent. A Family Affair is in Fairlawn, New Jersey. It's about 25 minutes from the George Washington Bridge. And it's going to be there for the long haul, Brandon. We're unfortunately, I don't want to get grim here, brother, but we're only on this life for a finite amount of time. And that sandwich will be here for thousands and thousands of years.
All right.
So I'm just really happy. This is a big day for the Spen Harris name. And to everybody who has a dream, you can achieve it.
Well, major shout out to a Family Affair deli, making little kids' dreams come true, even though some little kids are in their 30s. If you're within driving distance or plane distance, if you're pretty much in the continental U.S., check out the Spen Harris at the Family Affair deli. Spen, thanks for joining the show, man.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
All right, we'll be back next week with some Eagles talk once Ryan is back from watching Little League Baseball. Until then, peace.
Bye-bye.